So good morning, everybody. I'll start off. Michelle, you want to start off first?
You know what, Joe, you just go for it.
Okay. Shelly just gave me permission. So Shelly, Ella, and I were just in San Francisco yesterday for the San Francisco chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. Great time up there. I also had the luck to be able to see my daughter who goes to college in the Bay Area. She goes to St. Mary's. While I was up there for a couple of extra days. Good to see you, Mark. So with that, I'll start our conversation. I see Rebecca Curry trying to join. If we get to see her face, I'll say hi to her too. So thank you all very, very much. We're going to spend some time today with Betty and Mike. Betty and Mike have also their advisor, who is the quarterback for them, Mark Miller, who's on the phone today too. So Betty and Mike, thank you for taking the time with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking us.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit, how many years ago did you start your original business?
2007 is when it started.
And what brought you to start it?
Desperation?
Really? So just describe the desperation.
Mike had been in the corporate world prior to that, and after 3 corporate sell-offs, exchange of hands, layoffs, he decided it was time that we do something on our own, a little more security. And his dad had his own business too, so I think he always wanted to be an entrepreneur,
Right.
and had it with working in a corporate world. So between that and having 4 kids looking at colleges, we knew we had to do something. So there was some desperation, certainly.
It certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this just happened quickly due to my background in what's called interoperative neural monitoring 40 years ago, which I got out of. I was able to get back into it just on the advice of someone that I was attending a conference on some equipment that I was selling for this industry. And they said, "Why are you selling this equipment? You should become a reader and get involved in this industry." And so that was kind of the impetus for me getting into this and looking into it deeper, that yeah, my background would allow me to do so. And so I actually had to do some new training and recertifications, but that's basically how it all started.
And what we didn't realize at the time was that Mike has master's in audiology, and we didn't realize that if he were to go get his doctorate degree, a clinical doctorate, he could actually work alongside, like as neurologists do, in remote reading of during surgeries.
During surgeries, remotely monitoring
the nerves.
Certain cases that technicians are in the operating room monitoring for surgeons.
So it was really an eye-opening that he could do that. So went to school, got his doctorate, and U.S. monitor was born.
Beautiful. Now, therefore, let's do the math. You've had the company running for just under 20 years then?
Yes.
Exactly.
Cool. During the 20 years, at what point, if ever, did you think about exiting?
I would say probably a couple of years ago, it was starting to plateau. And I'm 71 now, so a couple of years ago I was 69, and thinking, okay, it's starting to flatten out a little bit. There are some opportunities, but am I getting too tired to do so? And so that's when we started thinking about it.
So, you have you really have to add to that because we have, it's a family company. We have kids in the company, 3 of our adult children. There were some family issues that were pretty, I'd say pretty serious, kind of felt like they were fracturing our family. And it was like, okay, maybe we should just let it go, get out of it. And so that was kind of always, I think those issues were also making us feel tired, just ready to let go of it, rather than dealing with those issues.
So there were 3 big factors then. One, you saw a plateauing of the business itself, and your energy levels had dropped, probably due to the lack of excitement, because when it's growing, it's really exciting. As it plateaus, she's less exciting. Number 2, we all age up a bit. You guys are much younger than me, but when we're 20 years older than when we started, things are a little different.
Mhm.
And then number three, you were noticing an effect on the way your family, yourself and your children interacted, or they interacted, which also kind of drains your energy a bit too, because that's not fun to watch. Is that fair?
It's fair. And I think I would add to that, Mike and I, we were hungry. We worked hard to put food on the table, to pay bills. And when you have adult children who went through that with you, you kind of want to, I'd say maybe overcompensate because you want to give them a good service. And some of those benefits that we didn't have, we couldn't give them when they were younger.
For the business.
So I would say they didn't have that, you couldn't see who had the energy to take it to the next level. Yes, it was plateauing, but there were other niches perhaps that we hadn't tackled and that were, that we should be pursuing. But we needed one of them or some of them to say, okay, I've got this. So that's what we've been working on.
Cool. So how did you choose your original advice? At what point, let me go back. At what point in the last 20 years did you determine, gosh, I need a financial advisor or CPA or attorney that's different than what I've got?
Well, I would say that, I think in our case, because so much of the business was as a mom and pop business, I did almost everything myself. I did the website, I did the servers. Initially, I did all the stuff by myself. And so I'm kind of one of these guys that never thought I had to go out and get help. I could just do it by myself. And we weren't really looking to any growth that would be so significant, particularly financially, would require such services. It's like, I can play a few stocks, no big deal. Or,
Yeah.
What can happen?
Yeah, what bad could happen?
You don't know what you don't know. And in 2015, Mike and I sold our condo in Madison. We were so thrilled to get $220,000. It was over the asking price. All of a sudden, money was coming in, which we never had before. And when we moved to Minnesota, all of a sudden we were looking at houses at much higher price range. And when we actually bought the house, we sat down with a banker over at our bank, and she said to us, "Well, who's your accountant? Who's your
I was the accountant.
who's your Mike was doing taxes all this time and dreading them, and so she really sat us down and said, you've got to have a lawyer, you've got to have people, and we did get an accountant. We interviewed an accountant, but it wasn't until I guess last couple of years when we said, we need some help, and we had met Mark at actually a neighborhood meeting about something totally unrelated. And he looks like a nice guy. And then, then we actually did some research on his website. We loved the idea of Mark. It was also a family company.
We Googled
you, Mark, and met and just.
Mark, had it just been a few years later, they would have AI'd you.
That's right. That's true.
We just felt a really good connection. I mean, Mark's our neighbor as well.
But two houses down from
just meeting him and Bjorn and his staff, you just felt like, yeah, these guys get us. We can open up to them, and we have. And so that was how we met Mark and his business.
And I realize that I'm recapping what you just said, but I'll say this part again. From what I can hear you saying, you had been able to do well in your business by not having outside advisors. Right. And you did your own accounting. So you did the reporting for the tax returns for the company's math, and then you rolled it into your own tax return. And you realized that you might be paying more in tax than somebody else, but you weren't paying for the professionals to do it. That felt kind of good. And it wasn't until a banker kind of shook you and said, I think you need to have a team, and you might be paying more in taxes by doing it on your own, even though you're saving. So you might look at that. And you might need to look at a financial person to start talking about the extra money, because there was never any extra money before that, right?
Right. Never.
No.
Suddenly there's extra money. We're buying a bigger house, writing a bigger check for the deposit. and there's money around and what's going on. And you kind of look around, the banker shakes you and says, you need people.
That's right, exactly. And the accountant, to be fair, the accountant did go back and redo the last 5 years of our taxes. He did, we did them all. So, okay, we know we're legal. That looks good. You did a good job, Mike. We handed it off to the professionals at that point then. So.
Mike did a great job, and then we had all the professionals read it a couple of years and we're good to go. And then one of the big things about Mark, you met Mark, there wasn't a, hey, hire me. There was a, this is what he did. And you kind of approached him. And first, he seemed like good people. Second, you started to do some due diligence by talking to your CPA about financial advisors and by looking them up and saying, is this right or wrong? Is this the person for us? But then it seems like what pushed you over the edge that he was right is when you spent time, you felt that Mark got you. That he understood where you came from, where you're at, where you're trying to, and that was the biggest deciding factor. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, he didn't come with we didn't sit down and him telling us what to do. He listened.
And he never sold us or tried to sell us anything.
Yeah.
In fact, there was times that are we going to get a bill or something?
Should we be paying you something?
But
it was really it was just like sitting down and talking to someone
yeah,
who was very interested in hearing about our lives, what we've done, where we've been, and honestly, it was the first time thinking about where do you want to go, what do you want to do from here, and that's what helped him put us in touch with the Founders Group. When you're so busy running your business and you're running it like a mom and pop shop, even though it's grown to more than that, and you get family issues, you don't think about, you think, oh yeah, one day we'll sell, but you don't think about what do you want to do when you sell, how do you want to transition? So it was again, we didn't know, and so we are really grateful to be introduced not only to Mark but to the Founders Group.
So to recap again, thank you for this third time. In what I would call Mark's intake, Mark's understanding you, there wasn't a feeling of I'm trying to ask you questions to get you to buy this. There was, I'm asking you questions to understand better, and I have no idea what those things are going to be. Let's find out what we need to bring to the table. And he did that so much in interacting with you with so many interactions about where you were at, how you got here, where you're at now, and what you might be in the future. You almost had to ask him, wait a minute, can't I pay you? You're not getting anything for this. You're not managing money, selling insurance, doing legal. We're not paying for this. It was almost like it was an uneven scale because he was doing so much, but you hadn't compensated him yet.
right.
And that was important to you.
Yeah.
It was. I hate being sold, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna quote you on that.
Well,
So-
in fact, when Mark put together a plan of the next, 15, 20 years, based on our finances, it was actually, we walked out with a sigh of relief thinking, you know what, we'd be okay. We need to do this. We have these retirement funds, and how we could actually manage to live and maintain our lifestyle, which we hadn't thought about before. So it was reassuring to see his plan in place for us.
Yeah.
So it sounds like once he understood enough, he then revealed, hey, look, I think what I'm hearing from my years of experience and working with clients like you, Mark said, I think what I'm hearing is we need two different tracks to be operating at the same time. There's a track of what should we do about your business? Is it going to support your long-term goal or not? Is it about making sure your kids have a job? Is it about your income? Is it about building value? What is it? And at the same time, that bump into what is your personal goal? What are you running this business to give your kids jobs? Are you running this business for income? Are you running this business to provide equity in it to sell to get a bucket? And then how those two collide or come together with, will there be, depending on what you do, will there be enough, and what do we need to modify? And that was the first time, I take it, that you guys saw two tracks and how they came together? Or was that not the first time?
Oh, that was the first time to hear any of this conversation, really, to take time to listen and to explore and get information. So, yeah, definitely.
So what was it like for you guys? You guys interact with Mark, and then you get in the car and you drive home, and you kind of look at each other like, well, there's something we hadn't thought of before. What were those conversations like?
You know, I think they felt good. They
Yeah.
felt good. I personally always have had to resist the urge to beat myself up for what I didn't know. That's just me, you know, not to feel like a failure, not to feel like, ah, you know, if I only would have, why didn't I think of that? Because it's hard for me personally to reach for help sometimes. I was taught not to do that. But I think we felt reassured. We remember telling the kids about it, our kids. It was very, I don't know, we felt good. Not like a
So,
plan. We had a plan.
as self-made entrepreneurs from good Midwest stock, the idea of asking for help was alien. And
Right.
as you walked out and Mark revealed more of this world that is no longer in the dark, you're starting to see what was in your blinders or dark spots. Um, there was a feeling of, why didn't I know that already? I'm a good steward for my family. We take care of our family well. How could we have possibly missed that? So that was frustrating or embarrassing,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
not so much that made you pull away, but made you lean into Mark saying, I haven't served my family well. I need to serve them better. I needed to know I beat myself up. Usually we don't ask for help. That's not our stock. That's not who we are. But this guy, Mark, I'm willing to ask him for help. Was that fair?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and
Absolutely.
the introduction of the Founders Group and where that would even propel us even further.
Yeah.
So at some point, Mark, your central quarterback advisor, who you
Yep.
have trust in, who understands you, who's describing there's two tracks, Mark had to come and say, there's two tracks, but we need help. I, Mark, am not the center of all knowledge. Bjorn and I are not the center font of all knowledge. Believe it or not, we're going to have helpers. Did that make you think less of Mark or more of Mark when he said we're going to need helpers?
Oh, more definitely.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was still a question, who's this Founders Group? What are they really gonna do for us? Mark's doing everything for us just fine, you know, why do we need the Founders Group, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, but same way, I think we both, you know, we've been around long enough and in different experiences to know when someone comes off as if they have all the answers or won't
Right.
admit that they don't have all the answers. I mean, you know, a person you can trust when they say, "Hey," you know, or more apt to trust someone who says, "Hey, I'm, I need to reach out for some help here to really maximize these benefits for you." So I think we respected Mark and Bjorn for that.
Yeah,
So
he
then,
opened the door for us to accept more things like this,
Mhm.
like the Founders Group and yourself, on things we didn't know
Yeah.
and the trust, my God, we had knew nothing about those whatsoever. And
Yeah.
still
so
learning a lot
I
more.
think what I'm hearing you say is good Midwestern stock, started the company, ran it 15, 20 years on your own, did your own taxes, got an idea you needed to redo some years, talk to your banker, realized, thank God got to Mark who said, yep, accountant. But then with Mark and your CPA, it felt like, okay, we don't need more people. We're good. We don't need to ask for more help. And then Mark says, oh, by the way, we need other players. Your first reaction is, but Mark, we love you. You're doing a great job. We don't need anybody else. The group is big enough the way it is. That's the first
Kind of.
reaction. Mark pushes back and says, nah, we need a bigger group. I'm not the fun of all knowledge, but I've got some friends that I'm going to quarterback for you. Will you trust me? And you say, okay, prove to me why we need more people, but we'll listen. Is that fair?
Well, and he gave us the book
Yeah.
on the Founders Group.
Well,
and that,
yeah. I think what really convinced us though, Mike, was we were comfortable enough with Mark to share with him what we were going through with our family.
Yeah.
And that was key to me because he talked about how the Founders Group understands that family is first. And, you know, in the end, it's not about the money. That's great, but it's about your family and the legacy you want to leave for them. And for me to be able to open up to someone about family issues was really significant. So I think that's what really opened us up to, you know, we got to hear what Mark's saying about this Founders Group. So
Sure. So then he said, look, the players I'm going to bring to the table, in this case, Founders Group and Struzari Mancini, are like me, Mark. They're going to listen and they care about what it is for your family and result. they're not going to say, I advise you to do this. They're going to also listen and find out what else and realize there's an interpersonal dynamic of family members in the business that might be considered. So he introduces Founders Group, which is a business succession firm. And then he introduces friggin' lawyers, Strazzeri Mancini, that can talk about if you sell, how to minimize the tax. If you don't sell, how to minimize the tax. So the bucket is bigger for you guys to work with. So then that all starts, then there's this deep dive for Founders Group that analyzes the business and says, well, the business you've got is beautiful. If you do these other things, it'll be worth more on sale.
Right.
Which is that easy to hear or hard to hear when they say, yeah, you're ready to go to market like this. If you do, this is the number. But if you adjust these things, this is the number. What was that feeling like?
Eye-opening for sure. I mean, at this point, we were being much more receptive to these foreign ideas that were truly foreign to us. You know, we thought, this is stuff only the ultra rich deals with, and we're certainly not. And so it was eye-opening and comforting then to start thinking, all these different ways that we can save and really pull things together more for our family, for the future, for our trusts, the whole picture is now very exciting, much more so than before.
I love the way you called it foreign ideas and foreign things, because they were foreign to you.
Oh, absolutely.
They were.
And the concept that although you've done really well in your lives, and now there was more cash flow, and now you realize you've got something worth this, that we're talking about making worth this within a short amount of time. So you get more net. And now Mark is saying, let's not lose 40% to 30% to taxes. Now you're starting to have to think about things you never thought before because the numbers are kind of stupid large compared to what you thought. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was even several years ago, I thought, gosh, if we could get $3-4 million as our retirement, I would be just as happy as a lark. Nothing would make me
suddenly
happy.
You're looking at a number exceedingly larger than that. And they tell you, oh, by the way, if you want to make it even bigger than that, do these things.
Yeah.
So then you've got these new players in your life that are doing intake, Founders Group that is now diving into your business and your personal finances and your interfamily relationships. A friggin' lawyer like us, we own part of Founders Group as well, that's now digging in over the same issues, comparing notes. Mark and Bjorn are guiding traffic, and you've got these multiple tracks happening at the same time. You suggested it got exciting at some point.
It was also overwhelming. I mean, you have to, we'd be lying if we didn't say it was overwhelming too. I remember walking out of that meeting after Melissa and Jeff kind of gave their findings. It is you realize, yes, acknowledging what you've got, but also what you need to do to really get what you should be getting. And that could be, again, just overwhelming. It was exciting on one hand, but then there was a lot of work you have to do. And I don't know, I think you have to make that your priority to do those tasks. And I don't think we really did that, especially in the beginning. I think we kind of pulled back a bit and tried to handle things on our own. Well, I can do this, I can do this again. I think we actually frustrated Jeff a little bit because we have to remind ourselves, you guys are here to help. And I don't know if all owners feel that way sometimes, Joe, but it was like, okay, reminding myself that you don't have to do it all by yourself. Things you can't do. I didn't know what I was looking for, what a potential business owner, a buyer might be looking at when they did yearly comparisons,
Yes.
and Jeff pointed some things out to me and that I know I've got to work on, but it's okay for me to say, Jeff, help me work on this. And that's the hard part, I think, for me personally, and maybe others, I don't know, but because there certainly is no mistrust issue. It's just getting out of my own head and being willing to drop my own perceptions, my own need to do it right my way, and be open to other voices. And that's part of growth. So
I would suggest, Betty, you would ask a question there. You said, you don't know if other entrepreneurs or other business owners feel that way. a good friend of ours, Justin Goodbread, wrote a book, Your Baby's Ugly. And it's the idea that if you ever walked up to somebody who has a brand new baby, they're all beautiful. But there are times that some are more beautiful, some are more Gerber baby beautiful than others. Is that fair? Well, when you're talking to a client and you end up talking about their business, it's their baby. And to suggest that there might be an imperfection, I would suggest, Betty, most business owners recoil under the, I'm a good steward for my family. I've done well. Who are you to tell me that we might do it different?
Yeah.
Until they hear, oh, by the way, you could have $10 million for your business if you do that. They move from that's offensive to, I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah.
Moment of time. And
Yeah.
then there's this look at each other like, okay, I don't like what they just said, but if it's $10 million or more, let's at least explore that possibility.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And then the other part you mentioned was then the feeling of, well, with these recommendations, that doesn't look that hard. I can do that. And most business owners who don't ask for help, who are used to it themselves, either themselves or their team, I can do that. But the problem is they're running a current business. And that business is already a double more than full-time job. And all of their team members are running hard without the ability to add more. And if we do, we'll hurt our current cash flows that will hurt our valuation. So do we have outside help to not do it? I'm sorry, Tim, could you hit mute?
Tim Neller, I thought I was in.
Do you mind muting? So I do think those are very, very common, Betty. I think
Yeah.
you guys had each other, where a lot of times we have one business owner where the spouse is less involved. In this case, you had each other. So you had an opportunity to go back and say, should we or shouldn't we? And go back to Mark and say, Mark, this is the way we're feeling. You know us, and have Mark help. So I think between what Founders Group did to enhance the value, that A, you wouldn't get hit in due diligence, and B, increase the value by how the accounting reported, how the businesses went, et cetera. And at the same time, reduce the tax with us, you started to see possibilities. So I think, Betty, I think it's wonderful that you're able to see that. I would agree with you that that's the way most business owners start to feel. But I will tell you, most business owners would not be as open as you just were with us. So thank you. For that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I will tell you, Joe, you don't mind I want to congratulate you on the release of your book, Motive. Mike and I each have a copy. We've been earmarking pages.
We both have one.
Highlighters again at college, and we're working through it, and it just timing was good because it just reminds me what it's all about. That I don't know, and how to, especially the part on the family and having somebody you can trust and talk to. So I commend you on the book. Congratulations, it's a good read, and we will refer. So
thank you so much for that. And because you talked about the family, I know you're pretty well into it at this point.
I want to check for it.
One of our friends, Chris Snyder, who does a lot in this field of exit planning, reached out to me. He said, Joe, I have written more notes. I've got more highlighters, more notes and margins, more of this. He said, I'm ordering another book because I can't read this one anymore because it's covered in all my notes.
No, I know. There were times I thought, is Joe talking about us in this quotation from another family? Did he make up these people and change the names talking about us? So I definitely relate to so many examples that you gave, and I love so many of the phrases that I've highlighted that we were going to have all of our kids read it as we continue with our family discussion. So
it was written as and intended for families like yourselves that have emerged into wealth at a level that is new to them, that they're finding their comfort with, and how can they have conversations to be in charge of the conversations with their advisors, to be in charge of conversations with their family members, but do so with a curious heart, because everybody around them is more nervous than they are, and that nervousness causes anxiety, and their ability to listen drops. But if you know those things ahead of time, it was written as a kind guide to say, if you can be curious about it, here are some things you could bump into that you could misunderstand, and things you could bump into to understand better, like you've done with Mark. Because not everybody has the joy of having Mark in the room all the time.
That's true. That's true.
So with that all, Mark, I want to thank you for bringing such a wonderful family to us. Betty and Mike, thank you so much for not only working with us, but taking the time this morning to be able to help our advisors here and then our other families that listen to these through the Othership Institute, to have them have an insight, to feel like they're not alone either, and what it feels like to go through it. So Betty, Mike, thank you so much. Mark, thanks for introducing. Ella and Shelley, as always, for making all these things come together. Everybody out there as an audience, Rebecca, I sent you a separate message. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Thank you.
Good
Nice
to
seeing
see
everyone.
you.
Take
Good to
care.
see you, Mike and Betty. Okay, bye. Bye, everybody.